why this has fixed it. You may have seen in one of my previous videos on the Waves Mad player that Cubee fell off the table several times and has broke his leg, so I need to open him up. Okay, so now we have the servo. So this is the one that's not working properly. In fact, I'm thinking this is possibly one that's not working of many. So I've got my wow stick electric screwdriver that came with loads and loads and loads of heads. And now let's unscrew these screws. The great thing about using this screwdriver is it's quicker than a lot of other electrics. And of course, one of the things you do if you use a manual one, I'll just show you. If you use a tiny little manual screwdriver, then what happens is you slip off and you end up stripping the thread, and that is not a good move, particularly if you want to put these things back together again. I also like the light. Okay, so you pull on these, try and leave them in, but just make sure that they're all loose. Hold that together and then take off the top. Now what I need to do is to have a close look at this. Let's just zoom in on that, and I think you can see immediately that there's two teeth trapped in there, because there's one broken. If I just try and pull this off gently, okay, you can see one of the teeth is broken off there, which is a problem, so that's absolutely useless. Not only that, but if we look on this one, we can see that one of the teeth is also broken off there, so the two were jamming each other. Just have a closer look. Yeah, completely trashed. So it comes if you drop it on the floor. Question is, are any of these others broken? That looks okay, so it will be stored for future use, possibly in another repair. That one too, it's got a dark bit on it, I don't know what that is. So they're okay. And as we know, the motor and everything's alright. If I take this off completely now, because this is trash, and we have a look inside it, I'll obviously keep all the screws. And then this is the stepper motor driver with the chip on it. So that's perfectly good and will be kept. But what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to desolder all these wires, because I've taken apart one of the other ones I'm going to replace it with, and it's a slightly different design, which is okay, but alas, on the other end is a huge connector, and if we take the connector off, it's still got these huge pins, so it makes sense to desolder it and to attach the wires from the other servo, which means some very, very, very delicate soldering. So first off, let me just separate these cables on this one too, because I don't want them interfering with each other, and push those other cables out of the way, because I don't want them being melted. Just clean the soldering iron tip. Now what I want to do is to tin the tip, which is just put some solder on it, and then grab each of these wires, and I'm going to go from front to back. Where's my tweezers gone? Here they are. The reason from going from front to back is that I don't want to be going across the other wires as I'm desoldering. So let's take the orange off. and then the red off, and then the brown off. As you notice there, I did it as quickly as possible, and the temperature on the soldering iron is 340. So this will now go in a box of spares, and now I need to do exactly the same with this. Okay, just clean the soldering iron tip, get the old solder off it, and it's in the end of the soldering iron. Because it's such a small area, I'm actually going to put some solder on the points to make sure they actually come off okay. Okay, so clean the tip again, add some fresh solder on the end. Where's my tweezers? Okay, that's one. That's two, and that's three. Okay, I've cleaned the tip, so I want to tin each of these pads. So a little bit of solder on the very tip of that, and then I want to put solder on each of these pads very quickly. Okay, and you can see that those are nice and shiny balls, which means they are good solder joints. If you look at those in comparison to some of this soldering that's on this device, I mean, this soldering is just absolutely horrendous, seriously bad. But I'm just concentrating on my wires at the moment. The next thing I need to do is to tin each of these wires, because I want a perfect little ball of solder on the end, so they're nice and smooth. Okay, so tin, orange, so it's difficult with fiddly wires. Okay, just tap that. Orange is in place. Let me get that brown one out of the way and clean the tip again, and a bit of tin. Okay, so we want to go red, and then the final one, clean the tip. You might think it's a bit excessive, keep cleaning the tip, but what you don't want is old solder on the end to create a dry joint. And there we have it. Okay, so let's switch this on. So you can see that that's a good replacement for that, but there is also this screeching noise. Yeah, so it possibly looks like the other two servos are also not working, but I won't really know that until I put this one back in place. So I'll now insert this in the leg. Okay, one of the issues I've faced, the head is larger than the original servos and therefore won't fit into the cup on the ankle. So now what I want to do is to take one of these end caps which came with this servo and actually put that in place instead of this piece. So what I've done is I've put one of those servo end caps in there, and then I've actually taken some heat shrink and shrank it around it till it fits in the hole, because I'm just testing it. But let's switch it on. As you can see, the legs are fixed, but there's obviously something else wrong up here. So what I'm going to do now is to cut some of this off, and then I'll put some polymorph in there in order to hold that in place to stop it moving, and that'll then be a permanent fix. And screw the legs back on, and then I need to sort out these servos which are in the top section because they're not working, and I've got a feeling that, like that original servo there, the teeth have shattered off because the servo was cheap and horrible. I just realised one of the things I hadn't done was to put the screw back in the side of this foot. I didn't want it working loose, so I've just tightened it up. In the next video I'll be showing you how I replaced the right hip servo, which was also broken. I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the channel and check out my other videos, and make sure you subscribe to see the rest of this series. It turns out to be quite a complicated task. Thanks for watching. Bye.